Coaching lies at the heart of good teamwork and great individual skills. It's an interactive, two-way process between coach and player, always based on the needs of the individual. Crucially, it's built on a strong relationship between the two, a relationship always geared towards bringing out the full potential of the athlete and so achieving the identified objectives. The best way of investing in our future is to spend time developing our people. Now, my business is the world of competitive sport, and I know for a fact that the day after any championships, win, lose, or draw, great athletes and coaches are back right here on the training ground to make certain that next time they'll be better. It's my firm belief that this drive for continuously improving standards of personal achievement also holds valuable lessons for the world of BT networks and systems. And it's this approach that we are going to be looking at today. I've been talking with 5 of the very best coaches that there are. Together, they cover individual, squad, and team sports. And I think you'll find that they have some very important messages to share with us and from which we can all learn and benefit. Good. David Felgate, previously head of coaching of the Lawn Tennis Association, is now personal coach to the British tennis #1, Tim Henman. Tim's apparently sudden emergence onto the world stage is actually the result of years of careful preparation, motivation, and coaching by David.
Oh, good straight.
Alex Furguson has made Manchester United the most successful English club of recent years. One of the key components has been the nurturing and development of younger players through the system. The success of British ice skating owes much to the talents of Betty Callaway. She trained and coached Torval and Dean to Olympic and world gold medals and continues to coach the champions of tomorrow. Ian McGeechan, once his own successful rugby playing days were over, became winning coach for Scotland, the British Lions and, of course, Northampton Rugby Football Club. Daniel Topolski is consultant coach to the Oxford Rowing 8. It was Daniel who took charge of a demoralised squad which had suffered 6 defeats in a row. Under his guidance, they went on to win 12 out of the next 14 races. As you listen to the views of our coaches, you'll find that there are parallels to be drawn with our day-to-day lives in networks and systems. This video is made up of 4 modules which reflect my own 4-part coaching approach of own, plan, do and review. An approach which is tried, tested and proven to deliver world-class results, and not just in the sporting world. Investors in people, the national standard which aims to improve business performance through effective development and training, is built around the very same principles: commitment, planning, action and evaluation. Within NNS, you already have in place excellent performance and development frameworks which will help you keep focused on these vital principles. But it's not enough just to know the frameworks are there and to view them, if you like, as something to fall back on from time to time when the going gets tough. If you do that, you'll really be selling yourself short and depriving yourself of a great opportunity to add real value to your work and to manage your relationships with others in the team. If, on the other hand, you use these 4 key principles of commitment, planning, action and evaluation, like I said, own, plan, do and review, you'll find that you're always in control of the game. So let's kick off by taking a look at the first part, commitment. That's the own bit. It's all about being clear about the broader aims of the business, what direction it's moving in, and what the key targets and objectives are. These, of course, will change over time. Knowing how you contribute and what is expected of you in your particular job In other words, how you can add value. Accepting ownership and responsibility. Being aware of what's required in order to bring about measurable and sustained improvements in business performance. Standard setting, if you like. Once again, it's bringing new members of the team up to speed quickly and effectively by ensuring they have the necessary tools, knowledge and skills, the right competencies to perform the job effectively. Let's hear what some of our coaches have to say about that.
I think initially, as a coach, I'll set a lot of the objectives and the view of where we want to go. I think as we develop, the team actually set them. They set their own standards. They set what they want to achieve, and they talk about how they're going to do it.
Well, the coach and the manager always sets objectives, but I think players themselves can do that. I mean, setting objectives is something I used as a player.
I think responsibility for the performance of the athlete has got to be shared. It's got to be the coach and the athlete, or the coach and the team.
For the coach to get the best out of a player, they need to trust what they can do and know they can do it every time it's needed. And a player needs, obviously, to have total belief and agreement with their coach.
So the skills involved in being coach. Firstly, trying to accept that if someone's telling you something, they're not doing it for their own benefit, they're trying to help you.
You have to understand what they're going through, they have to understand what they're expected to do. Without communication, you don't even start.
I definitely have responsibility towards the coach. He asked me to perform and to do a job, and I need to do it to the best of my ability.
You've got to have a target, and there's been lots of targets throughout my career when we started working, whether it's to break into the top 500 or the top 100. We've always worked towards goals, and I'm sure there will still be many more to achieve in the future.
It's all about taking ownership of the problem and actually dealing with it. I'm as responsible for Tim's success as I am for his failure. And I think as a manager or as a coach, you must never forget that. It's no good just patting yourself on the back when things are going well.
The next step is the planning part, which is where one-to-ones and team meetings come into their own. They provide a superb opportunity for you to get to grips with your own personal development plans and make sure that they're working well for you. You'll only do this effectively, though, if you really make it a two-way process, a genuine and frank exchange of information and ideas. If you don't, you're losing out. It's what you need to hear that matters, even if sometimes it's not what you want to hear. So what are we looking for here? Well, it's about devising a personal development plan for each member of the team to continuously improve. Continuing to set specific objectives and targets and then being driven by them. It's also about discussing progress at one-to-one meetings, or again using team meetings to discuss and plan what still needs to be done. There are always alternative courses of action, so both coach and athlete need to agree how to develop and take it forward. Getting all members of the team involved. It's no good at all if the coach just tells the team of a decision. He or she has to explain the reasons behind it, with players becoming increasingly involved in decision-making.
Generally, planning development for a player, I try and look at a 12-month period.
Each player gets given a plan for what they're expected of the whole season. This is reviewed throughout the season by the coach and his supporting coaches, and it all fits into a whole game plan for the whole side.
We'll give them what our goals are and our targets, and we expect the coach to help us to achieve that in the best way that they can.
And you have to really plan what you want to do, and we discuss it at least every 2 or 3 weeks.
So you need to know what you're aiming for and then work back to see exactly how you're going to achieve those goals.
Well, I try and show the players here that they are developing week by week by giving them targets.
As the players evolve, you want them to become more independent. You want them to get involved in talking about what they feel their objectives are, so then it becomes a joint decision. Now in a one-to-one situation with Tim, it's a joint thing. We sit down and we talk about our objectives.
David's probably my harshest critic, and I'd like it that way, so that we're always setting our targets to be the very, very best, and I think that's the way it should be.
One-to-one coaching is important. Obviously, a player's personal development will then have a rebound effect onto the rest of the side.
And we make mistakes, and I think it's good to make mistakes at times because you learn most from those, but we make them together.
Now, once they mature and they reach a peak, then you're looking for maybe more knowledge, you know, that understanding of your role, the coach's role.
The best crews I've been in, there's a balance between the crews and also sharing their views of what should be achieved in the training sessions, and between what the coach wants to achieve.
So I think there is always something where you can improve players. I haven't met a player yet who couldn't improve, I must say that. So I don't envisage it'll ever happen either.
On now to the third part, do, which is all about action and actually getting it done. Again, you'll find that one-to-ones and team meetings play a key part. In order to do anything, you have to possess the right skills, so make sure you have the necessary competences for the job in hand. This means preparation and constant practice. All players in a team have the same badge on the shirt. It's the number on the back that changes from player to player. Different players are asked to do different things according to their specific competences. The successful coach manages the relationship with each team member by treating them as individuals, advising them, encouraging them, and recognizing achievement when they do things well. It's about managing diversity, not controlling conformity. You have to listen to what they want to achieve. It's absolutely vital that one-to-ones and team meetings should be opportunities not to dictate, but to discuss. Walking the job provides you with informal opportunities to see how things are going. Never underestimate the impact you can make by showing genuine interest in the work of your team members. The more you do this, the more trust will grow. Trust that you're there to listen and coach, not to check up on people.
I think the team is different from a collection of individuals in that it has a common purpose, that it has an understanding collectively of what it's trying to achieve, and they can actually only achieve it together.
If they're that disciplined, they know what should be done and they'll do it. No problems there at all.
You set your own standards from when you start out in your career skating, but then when you get hold of an excellent coach like Betty, you suddenly find there's a whole set of standards that you never knew before. They're so high.
You've got to know when to stand back and let the athlete, even in a training session, just get on with it, feel the movements, sense the movement of the boat, get into tune with what he's doing. Too many coaches are on top of their athletes all the time.
I think the most important thing for me is an imagination. When it comes to the real difficult times in a game, then the imagination takes over, you know, and it wins the game for you.
A great team doesn't win championships, win medals, win trophies without, you know, some of the players taking risks. There's, you know, a certain amount of players that can do it all the time.
I encourage my players to take risks, and I like to be pushed to take risks as well. Risks are good. They make you strive to achieve. Sometimes taking those risks, there can be failure, but in the long run, out of that failure, success comes around.
It is very important that we all understand what we're trying to do and what the objectives are and what our roles are. And providing we do, communication for me is a key thing through the whole team, that we've got to know when something's going right. If something is wrong, we've got to know about it early, not late.
Communication is very important. You need to know exactly what the rest of your players are thinking. You need to know what your coach is thinking.
Well, I think first and foremost, you've got to know how to listen, and how to listen to your coach and take criticism the right way, and not just turn your back on it and say, well, that's a load of rubbish.
I mean, you keep on pushing them just that little bit more all the time, but they have to be looking forward to it.
And the biggest problem always is to transfer good technique when they're not under pressure into good technique under intense competitive pressure.
But you must let the players express themselves, especially at a young age. That's how you learn. And if you overcoach, you kill the love of the game.
The important thing is to create an environment where a player is comfortable about expressing himself. He feels free to express himself.
To a certain extent, you know, everyone loves to win, but I think the most important thing is enjoying yourself.
And so to the fourth and all-important element, the evaluation of progress, what I call the review. I can't overemphasize how important this is. It's all too easy, you see, in the day-to-day drive to just get the job done, to pass over this vital element of the performance and development structure. It really is essential to take time out to look at where you and your team are, to see how you've got there, what obstacles you encountered along the way, and what the next step should be. Obviously, one-to-ones are central to this. They're probably one of the most important things a coach can do as a manager of people. So please don't postpone them just because the diary's getting a bit full and you feel they can wait a week or two. Review is all about building trust within the team so people continue to expand the limits of their skills and talents. It means reviewing objectives and targets throughout the year at one-to-one and team meetings and adjusting them if business circumstances change. Half-time advice is okay, you know, but it's a bit late. Reading the game from minute to minute, reviewing the game and adjusting on the move is better. Review means taking time out to assess progress and plans for next season. Annual performance reviews provide a formal opportunity to review performance and development and to record the outcome. They are not ends in themselves, they are development tools. Because there's been continuous reading of the game, there should be no surprises. Review means discussing what benefits each development opportunity has delivered and will deliver in the future. This should happen at one-to-one meetings when you discuss your personal development plans. Of course, in order to plan most effectively, the coach should encourage the player to share his or her weaknesses or personal failures so as to learn from them. If the player identifies the problem for himself or herself rather than being told of it, he or she is more likely to take ownership of it, take it on board and address it. You really have to work at creating the right climate of trust and motivation for this to happen. It's not a matter of spontaneous combustion. So let me just remind you of a truth that should be self-evident. The coach must never use information shared at one-to-ones against the player at a later date. If this happens, the successful coach-player relationship is very seriously damaged. Sure, your players have far more strengths than areas short in development. Acknowledge this. It means putting each training session or development opportunity back into context of what team members have to do back at work. Review means building on success and learning from failure, managing relationships to build self-confident people committed to adding value by continuous improvement.
We review a lot of the coaching, a lot of the progress. Some of it is weekly, particularly when we're under pressure and playing big games.
Oh, a plan that you're working to year by year has to be reviewed constantly and updated. I mean, we've just done a boat race this year. It went very well. We lost. There are a lot of things involved in that plan that have to be readjusted and rethought.
I mean, usually it's after a competition we'd come back and sit down and said what was good, what was bad, and
What was ugly.
yeah.
They're very critical of themselves. It's sometimes not necessary for me to say anything. They come and tell me that, you know, there's something wrong here and they're not doing that very well. And they're quite amazing to work with.
Well, if we spot a weakness in a player, and it's usually done at the end of a session, and the practice ethic we have, we've created a good environment for that, where the players know that they've got time at the end of a session to work in things.
It's always important to take time out and stand back and take a good look at things. Take a look at myself as the coach, take a look at the player, take a look at the relationship and see where everything's headed.
We sit down and discuss, and sometimes those aren't the most enjoyable. They can be after sort of bad matches or bad performances, or, you know, a rough spell in you know, one's career. So, but I think they're always very positive, and I know at the end of the day, even if they're not very enjoyable, they're for you know, they're for my benefit.
Particularly when you're winning, you have to review that plan all the time as well. Because if you just stand still, everything moves on very, very fast indeed.
The hardest time as a coach is when the player's losing, but that's what you're paid for. That's the art of coaching. You have to find the way to turn them around.
It is pointless doing anything if they don't understand why they're doing it and what the ultimate aim of that is, and that they can see that by doing it, we're actually going to improve what's already there.
It's important to remember about what a player can do and rather than what he can't do. And if you can make your team 10% better, then that's the correct thing.
And that's where the real satisfaction comes in, when a mind opens, or, you know, the penny drops and it's almost like a light that you can see this person suddenly realises that they've moved on.
So there we have it. Successful personal development is all about commitment, planning, action and evaluation. You own it, you plan it, you do it, and you review it. The lifeblood of successful coaching is good communication, and that means a two-way process. You need role clarity so that players and teams know what they're meant to do and what standard of performance is expected of them, where they are going and how they are doing. You have to use one-to-ones to give players time to talk, regularly share progress, build the team as a group. Team meetings provide an excellent opportunity to do this. Put the message in context so that everyone understands the wider aims of the business, what the mountain is that's to be climbed, and the dream that they must own. Take best advantage of each opportunity to learn, seeking out improvements along the way. Bring new players up to speed through induction and personal development programs. What is it that we're trying to do in coaching, in owning, planning, doing, and reviewing? Quite simply, we're preparing ourselves to make the right decision at the right time, to set personal objectives and targets, and then to go for them. That's good for athletes in their arena. That has to be good for you and yours, and I believe it has to be good for NNS. Now is a good time to start.
People who make these policies, they don't ever come to us and say, what do you think about it, do they?
So the message you're giving to people is not to work smarter, which is the message BT puts to the outside people, but the internal one coming down is in fact work harder.
It's a frustrating thing that quite often people can't see a way forward in terms of what their career is, where it might go.
That's why people do get cynical, because we see so many different ideas and things come out of BT, or we're going to do this, we're going to do that.
There is a will above to do something about these kind of communications issues.
What we need to do is become more effective and more efficient in how we approach the management of change.
We have to develop a new feel to management and working relationships.
The fact is that changes in direction still seem to take an absolute age to achieve.
But it's all downward flow. And if something does get passed up, a question, months go by without you hearing an answer.
Investing in our future does not require management. What it requires is leadership. From me with you, from you with your teams, and throughout the division.
The manager has to stand back more often and let their people get on with the task.
Of course, there are still many instances where our people, whether we like it or not, still feel threatened by management style.
There's an ethos of fear in the area, really, where management's concerned. That many people feel that they're under pressure, that the least little thing they do, this misdemeanor, they're going to be sort of awarded a written warning type of thing. Yeah. Even if they are or not, that's the perception anyway.
If we handle good performance well, and we shouldn't be frightened of dealing with poor performance, and the best way to be able to tell one from the other is to walk the job and seek cooperation, not confrontation.
Once they understand why, then they can understand what they can do to move the thing forward. It's when it looks like an arbitrary decision by them up there that nobody's going to buy into it, because nobody knows what's going on.
We need to be as good at leadership, managing our people, creating satisfaction amongst our people as we are at process and technology.
Adding value
is about doing the things that matter, the things that will move BT towards our strategic commercial goals.
I quite often get asked, what are you there for and what value do you add? And even if people don't ask it as abruptly as that, that attitude comes over.
You can't add value trying to do everything, including producing unnecessary reports or going to unnecessary meetings which haven't got clear goals.
We also need, I think, to be much more focused on innovation. Innovation's got to be instinctive, and it's got to be in everything we do.
We'll have to give people more time to innovate and be receptive when people challenge customary practice in order to do something new.
We ourselves have got to take on more risk and responsibility and expect other people to ask for the same challenge.
As senior managers, we have to own the risks on behalf of our people and take away the fear of failure.
We either all commit to the encouragement of responsible risk-taking or the process will not work.
To have the respect and the commitment of the workforce underneath the manager, the workforce need to believe in him.
All this kind of managing people side of things is valued far less in real terms than delivering the project and getting the task done.
Managing relationships, as we know, is getting more complex and more important to our success in the new business environment.
Managing relationships can be seen as applying coaching for team effectiveness and a very, very serious amount of additional time spent on communication.
If you look at the people who are motivated, they feel that they're doing something and they can actually see how that is changing BT, how it's helping BT.
Investing in our future lies at the heart of business excellence. It is a mission that the whole company is dedicated to achieve.
I mean, I think it is a sort of exciting business that we're in. The company's doing lots of good stuff, and I would like my manager to sort of be excited about that as well.
The challenge for all of us in this room is to make many more of those examples, to create an environment where our people feel excited about the business they're in, where they feel motivated and empowered to contribute to the full. If we do that, I believe we can accelerate the pace of change. We can drive to be a truly successful global communications provider. We're in a business which is going to grow and grow at a tremendous pace. I guess we look back now over the last 10 years and find it difficult to believe that 10, 13 years ago we were a monopoly with just one or two products. All of us, no matter how long we've been in BT, have to believe that there are different ways and better ways of doing business. The reality is that not only is this industry going to be forever changing, technology won't stop still, and certainly our customers, I don't think have got any expectation that they're going to stand still. So we've got to expect and we've got to deal with change on a continuous basis. Not only, of course, do I have to invest my time in working with my management team, but it has to be a responsibility of all our managers and people to work with their colleagues, to coach their people, to work with their colleagues in looking for new ways in which we can do business. The new manager, the manager who's going to take us forward into the next millennium, has to think of themselves as a coach. Being an administrator just isn't going to be good enough. This is not about maintaining the status quo. Every manager has to become a leader of their people, has to create the environment to liberate the creative skills of all of their people. Building the relationships with other members of the team, managing relationships, whether it be with team members or part of the same business unit, or maybe another part of BT, is absolutely crucial to making this business move faster and sustain the excellence that our customers expect. I think the way we've got to approach our business now is by really understanding what our individual roles are, recognising those roles, but also recognising the contribution that every individual makes to the success of BT. Many ways of doing this, and of course the management team carry a special responsibility for making sure they recognise and reward success. What I want everybody to do as they become involved in investing in our future is to ask themselves some fundamental questions. Questions about the 4 key behaviours. First of all, are you absolutely clear on your role and the value that you add to the company? Secondly, do you see innovating as part of your everyday business, in particular, innovating instinctively? Thirdly, recognise that you're part of a bigger chain, a chain of operations that ultimately delivers service to our end customers. Ask yourself questions about those relationships. Ask yourself questions about the way in which you're managing those relationships. And fourthly, recognise that while some things can't be traded, safety, quality for example, we do, particularly our managers, have to recognise that today this is a much riskier business, and part of our role is managing in a responsible way those various risks and options that face us. There's no doubt that BT already is a world-class company. We hear from our customers and from commentators almost every day of the week about how positive they feel about us. There's no doubt that when we merge with MCI, we move into a very different league. Sometimes it's said that the fun's gone out of working in BT. I think we've got to put the fun back into BT. I really don't think there is another industry worldwide that presents the opportunities and the excitement that telecommunications and the broader IT industry now has to offer. The commitment of all of us, whether we're out there working with a customer at the front line or providing the backup services in finance or within our research and technology functions, absolutely crucial to making sure that we continue to deliver excellent levels of service. When we look back in 3 years' time from the start of a new millennium, we'll see that this year really was a watershed. The watershed in which we broke away from a highly regimented command and control structure to one where we all work together, where the concept of the manager as a coach really started to take hold, where we really started to liberate the innovative and creative talents of all of our people, wherever they may be in the business.